Hello friends, I am Dr. Pranav Khoche from Nutan Vidya Prasarak Mandals, Arts, Commerce and Science College, Lasalgaon. Today we are going to discuss The Beggar, a short story by Anton Chekhov, which is prescribed to FY BCom Compulsory English by Savitribai Phule Pune University. Anton Chekhov, born in 1860, was born in southern Russia. He had an economically humble background. His father was a grocer and his grandfather was a serf, which means in the past, a person who was forced to live and work on the land that belonged to a landowner whom they had to obey. It was a kind of bounded labor. So, Anton Chekhov's family background was quite humble, rather economically poor. He studied medicine in Moscow University and wrote stories to support his family financially. His short story collections are widely popular, especially Motley Stories, written in 1886, At Twilight, 1887, and Stories, 1888. He wrote nearly 800 short stories. Therefore, he is also called a pioneer of modern short story. He also wrote plays, namely The Seagull in 1898, Uncle Vanya 1899, The Three Sisters 1901, and The Cherry Orchard 1904. Friends, most of his stories and plays display social themes. They are social in nature and they talk about the contemporary Russian society. Contemporary means in his own time. He is Anton Chekhov, the writer of the short story. Now, we will see the short introduction of the story as well as we will discuss the summary of the story. The present story explores themes of struggle, kindness, compassion, and alcoholism. You know that theme means the central idea in the story around which the story revolves. So there are some themes in this story. They are of struggle, kindness, compassion, and alcoholism. Chekhov presents the story of a beggar who lies about his identity in order to extract money from a lawyer named Skvortsov, but ends up in confessing to him instead. So, it is a story of mainly these two characters, the beggar and Skvortsov, whom he begs. But afterwards, his life takes a turn when he starts working for Skvortsov and comes into contact with his maid, with his cook Olga. It is another very important character in the story. The beggar Lushkov, his name is Lushkov, finally gets a decent job at a notary. This was just an introduction of the story. Now we will discuss the summary while I'll be quoting some lines from the story itself. Skvortsov, a lawyer in Petersburg, in Russia, meets a man who tells him that he was a schoolmaster but has now lost his job. This man, the beggar, says, "Kind sir, be so good as to notice a poor, hungry man. I have not tasted food for 3 days. I have not a 5 kopeck piece for a night's lodging. I swear by God, for 5 years I was a village schoolmaster and lost my post through the intrigues of the zemstvo." Friends, zemstvo was a kind of scam in educational field of Russia. He further says, "I was the victim of false witness. I have been out of a place for a year now." But Skvortsov remembers that this man, he has seen this man, he has met this man 2 days ago, who then had told that he was a student, not a teacher. So 2 days ago, 2 days before, the same man had pretended. Skvortsov understands that he had pretended that he was a student and now he is pretending that he is a teacher. Skvortsov gets angry by the drunkard man's lies and, in disgust, threatens to hand him over to the police. Upon which the ragged and wretched man tries to utter, "I am not lying. I can show documents." But Skvortsov scolds the man who is also a drunkard, and he scolds him very much, and then the beggar confesses that he was lying to him. He tells Skvortsov that he was neither a teacher nor a student, but he was expelled from a Russian choir, that's a music group, for his drunkenness. So friends, when Skvortsov scolds that beggar in his drunken state, who is in his drunken state, and threatens to hand him over to the police, then only that beggar confesses that he was lying to him. Skvortsov then tells that beggar that he must do some hard work, some manual work, instead of begging and cheating people. But the beggar says he cannot do such work as he has no experience for that. He is not habitual for any hard work. He tells that he cannot do any trade in the factory, he cannot work as a worker in the factory because he does not have that skill as well. Yet, without giving him much attention, Skvortsov offers him work of a wood chopper and tells his cook, Olga, to take him to the shade to chop some wood. Now friends, the beggar accepts this work not because he wants to work, but because out of shame of being scolded by Skvortsov. So he agrees to work. Skvortsov can see from the window that his cook gets very angry with the baker as he cannot chop the wood properly. He is already in the drunken state. He has drunk too much vodka. He cannot stand. He can barely stand on his legs. But still he tries to chop the wood. But to the surprise of Skvortsov, After an hour, Olga, the cook, tells that the wood has been chopped. Skvortsov tells her to give the beggar half a ruble. Ruble is a Russian currency. So half a ruble, and to tell that the beggar can come on every first date of the month to chop wood. He also tells Olga to tell that beggar that there is always a plenty of work for him. The beggar starts coming frequently to Skvortsov's house and gets some kind of work to do. Sometimes he would sweep the yard, or sometimes he would sweep the snow, clear up the shade, or at another time he he would beat the rugs and the mattresses. He always receives 30 to 40 kopecks for his work, and sometimes he also would get old clothes of Skvortsov. When Skvortsov shifts to another place, he tells the beggar to assist him in packing and moving the furniture. Though this time the beggar is not drunk, he doesn't help other workers and just stands confusedly. Other workers in the vans, they make fun of him as he cannot do any work, and they laugh at him continuously. But Skvortsov takes pity on the beggar and gives him a ruble. Skvortsov has now understood that he cannot do much rough work, but at the same time, he realizes that the beggar is now sober, that is, he is not drunk anymore, and he is ready to work, and he tells him so. When Skvortsov asks his name after so many days, after so many months, the beggar tells that his name is Lushkov. So, he tells Lushkov that he can offer him a better work which would not be rough. He gives him a note and tells Lushkov to give it to his colleague who would offer some work of copying. His colleague is working as a lawyer, obviously. Skvortsov feels happy that he helped a drunkard beggar to improve himself. Now, at this particular point, Skvortsov thinks that he is the reason for Lushkov's, that is the beggar's, improvement or his reformation. Because he told him, because he pushed him to do the work, he started doing work, and he stopped being a drunkard and helpless man. After this meeting, Lushkov does not come again for work to Skvortsov. 2 years pass, and 2 years later, at the ticket office of a theatre, drama theatre, Skvortsov meets Lushkov again, who tells him that he now works in a notary's office and earns 35 rubles per month. At that time, 35 rubles must have been a handsome salary. Therefore, Skvortsov becomes quite glad and tells Lushkov that it was Skvortsov himself who pushed him into the right way of work. At this point, Skvortsov takes credit for his work, for his effort, because of which the former beggar rather, became a reformed man. Lushkov obviously expresses his genuine gratitude for Skvortsov because it's true. Had Skvortsov not scolded him and not offered him work, he would not have started in the right way. But Lushkov tells that he is also grateful for the cook, Olga, whom he calls a kind hearted and noble woman. He says that Olga, the cook, really saved him. Now, Skvortsov gets really confused and asks Lushkov the reason for his words. Friends, Olga seems to be quite a cross woman, quite rough woman who curses Lushkov. We know that Skvortsov can watch from his window that this cook, Olga, is very angry with this drunkard man, Lushkov. She throws an axe at his feet and tells him to chop the wood. But now, this is exactly a surprise for us in the story. After 2 years, when Lushkov, once a beggar, meets Skvortsov, he is a changed man. He is a reformed man who is doing some good job. And when Skvortsov in his mind pats his own back for this reformation, he, Lushkov, thanks and expresses gratitude for Olga the cook. And here is exactly a surprise for us. When Skvortsov asks Lushkov the reason for his words, that why he is so grateful for Olga, Lushkov tells that Olga would always curse him and call him a poor drunkard and sorrowful man. Yes, when we sees that Skvortsov could see from his window 2 years ago that Olga was cursing him, we feel that because she is a rough woman, because she is a stern woman, she curses and scolds Lushkov. But she also felt, as Lushkov narrates, but she also felt sympathy and compassion for him, and she wept for his condition. She wept for his poor condition. And this is a surprise. We, as readers, like the man, like Skvortsov, only know that he has chopped wood, Lushkov has chopped the wood, and Olga has shouted on him, scolded him. But now, again a bigger surprise is, it was Olga who chopped the wood for Lushkov. So in reality, Lushkov never chopped a single log of wood, but it was Olga because she knew that he could not do that work. Because of her kindness towards Lushkov, as he explains, he stopped drinking. So he changed because she saved him, and he would never forget that. I read that again, I tell that again that she felt sympathy, she felt compassion for this young man, that who could be improved, who could mend his ways, but who was at that time helpless, and therefore she wept for his condition. So her tears, her sympathy, her compassion, her kindness changed the mind of the beggar, that is Lushkov. In a way, therefore, she saved him. Lushkov bows to Skvortsov and goes to the theater. So, friends, this kind of surprise ending tells us that Skvortsov obviously does a good thing, by telling Lushkov to work for him. He almost forces him to work for him, and out of shame, Lushkov also accepts that 2 years ago from now. But it was Olga, the humble cook, who really changed the life of Lushkov and made him able to earn for himself. Thus, this story narrates how kindness and compassion can change the life of a drunkard and idle fellow like Lushkov. As the mention of Olga surprises Skvortsov, we also get surprised as readers. This is the climax of the story, which reveals Olga's kind behavior that transforms Lushkov's life positively. So, if we want to discuss this story in very short time, it goes like this. Lushkov the beggar lies for his earning. He lies to get money from people. Skvortsov gets angry and he scolds him so much that he accepts the offer by Skvortsov to work as a wood chopper. Then he comes again and again to chop the wood, but when he comes for shifting of Skvortsov, when Skvortsov asks him to assist him, he does not do, rather he cannot do any work. Skvortsov, a kind-hearted man, he is also kind-hearted. He gives him a reference of his friend, and after 2 years, Lushkov meets Skvortsov and meets Skvortsov accidentally out of a theater and tells him that he has got a decent job at a notary. He is earning 35 to 40 rubles per month. But the end of the story surprises us when Lushkov tells that Olga, the cook, helped him through her kindness. She chopped wood for him. We do not know, we do not suspect that at all. So she chopped wood for him. She wept for this young man, and that particular kindness, act of kindness, act of compassion really brought a massive change, a sea change in Lushkov's life, and he mended his wife. He mended his life permanently. So, friends, for good. Friends, I hope that you have understood this story. I also request you to read the story, read the original story, and then again watch this or listen to this lecture. If there is any problem, you can always contact me. Like this video, share this video with your friends who want to study this particular story. Meet you again in the next lecture. Thank you so much.